A D6 dozer sits dead in a quarry outside Peoria, Illinois. Peoria, the factory town where Caterpillar built its name. The blade is down, the cab is empty, and the machine has not moved in 9 days. The operator did everything right. He called the cat dealer the morning it failed. He has the part number, he has the money. He is still waiting, and the man who runs that pit remembers a different Caterpillar, the one that built largest parts network on Earth, 160 independent dealers, 190 countries, 21 parts warehouses running every hour of every day. That network was supposed to mean you never waited. So why is a yellow machine rusting in the rain while the part crawls across the country? That is the question, and the answer is not bad luck. The answer was built on purpose in a boardroom by people who never turned a wrench. For most of a century, the part was on the shelf. That was the whole point of Caterpillar. You could buy a dozer from John Deere or from Komatsu, but you bought a cat because when it broke, and every machine breaks, the dealer had the part. 21 parts facilities positioned to reach 99% of dealers inside 48 hours. Dealers stocked to fill 98% of parts orders inside 24 hours. A regional cat parts depot feeding the branches on nightly truck runs. Most parts on the shelf or next day, every day, no drama. That was not marketing. That was the moat. That was the reason a contractor would pay more for the yellow paint and never think twice. The old cat dealer was a fixture in the factory town. He knew your machine by serial number. He knew your father ran the same model. When your loader threw a hose at 4 p.m, he pulled the part off the rack himself, and you were digging again by morning. The downtime was measured in hours. The relationship was measured in decades. The part was simply there because Caterpillar had decided, at enormous cost, that the part would always be there, and the system underneath that dealer was built to feed him. A regional cat parts depot stocked the deep inventory. Branch stores ran trucks to each other every night, so a part in one town was in the next town. By sunrise, most parts on the shelf, the rest there next day. That was the standard a cat dealer held himself to. Every dealer owned his territory outright. No other cat dealer could sell into it, which sounds like a closed shop until you understand the bargain. The territory was protected so the dealer could afford to carry deep inventory and still make money. Exclusivity paid for the full shelf. That was the genius of it. The protection was not for the dealer. It was for the machine in your pit. Then the people who decided that left town. If you want to watch Caterpillar keep losing ground, subscribe to Quisoup. If you are watching on your TV, find Quisoup and hit subscribe there. Here is the part that stings, because it is not a story about a virus or a port. It is a story about who runs the company. Caterpillar was born in Peoria. The merger that created it happened in 1925, Holt and Best. And by 1930, the headquarters sat in Peoria for good. 4 big plants ringed the city. The foundry at Mapleton casting engine blocks. East Peoria assembling tractors for generations. The engine plant at Mausville, the parts facility at Morton. For decades, Caterpillar was Peoria, the largest employer, the name on the water tower, the reason the town existed. In January of 2017, the headquarters left Peoria for Deerfield, up by Chicago. The official reason was being closer to global customers. The factory towns kept building the machines. The deciders moved away from the smell of cast iron. Then in June of 2022, on the 14th, the headquarters left Illinois entirely for Irving, Texas. The chief executive, Jim Umpleby, called it a move that supports the strategy for profitable growth. Profitable growth. Read that phrase again, because it explains the empty parts shelf better than any supply chain chart. When the people who set inventory strategy sit in a tower in Irving, Texas, the part on the shelf in Peoria is not a promise anymore. It is a line item, and line items get cut. Lean inventory is the religion of the modern boardroom. Carrying parts on a shelf costs money. A bearing sitting in a warehouse for 2 years is cash that is not working. The finance first manager looks at that bearing and sees waste. He does not see the operator in the quarry. He sees a balance sheet, and on the balance sheet, a full shelf is a problem to be solved. So the shelves get thinner, the depth gets cut. The slow-moving part, the one you only need once every 3 years, but absolutely must have the day. You need it. That one gets pulled from local stock and pushed back up the chain to a central warehouse. or it is cheaper to hold and far slower to reach you. That is the trade. The corporation saves carrying cost. The operator eats the weight. And for a long time, almost nobody noticed, because demand was steady and the system had slack. Then the world squeezed, and the slack was gone, and everyone found out at once how thin the shelves had become. Look at what Caterpillar itself admitted. In early 2022, the chief executive stood in front of investors and said, "Dealer inventories were generally near the low end of the typical range." His words. Near the low end. He said availability was extended for some products because of the shortage of semiconductors and other components. Extended availability. That is corporate language for you are going to wait. The company filed it with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Continuing supply chain disruptions, transportation shortages causing production delays, components redirected, assembly lines altered, and still unable to fully satisfy demand. Dealer inventory actually decreased through the middle of 2022. Now hold those two pictures side by side. On one side, the Heritage promise, 98% of parts inside 24 hours, the shelf always full. On the other side, the company's own chief executive, saying the shelves are near the low end and the wait is extended. Same network, same yellow paint. Two different companies wearing the same name. The squeeze of 2021 and 2022 was real. Chips were short. Freight was a nightmare. That part is true, and it is not Caterpillar's fault. But here is what a finance-first culture does with a crisis. It does not just survive it. It learns from it. A lean inventory machine discovers during a shortage that it can run on even less, that customers will wait and still pay, that the gap between the Heritage promise and the actual shelf can be stretched without losing the sale. The crisis ends. The thin shelf does not come all the way back. Why would it? The boardroom just proved it could make more money holding less. Quick break before we get into what happened next. If you've been on this channel for a while watching how Cat lost segment after segment, there is a way to make sure you do not miss what is coming. Join the operator tier for $4.99 a month. You get badges that mark you as a working professional in the comment section, custom emoji to call out the corporate decisions that killed Cat. And you get every video 24 hours before the rest of the internet. To join, open your phone and search Quisup membership, or go to the channel page and tap join. Join the operators and engineers who are paying attention. Now back to it. Here is the moment it becomes clear, the moment the whole thing turns. The parts network was Caterpillar's single greatest strength, not the engines, not the hydraulics, the parts. Komatsu builds a fine machine. Lever builds a fine machine. What no one could match was the certainty that a Cat would be running again tomorrow. That certainty was the product. The steel was just the thing you bolted the certainty onto. And the same network, the exact same 21 warehouses and 160 dealers, became the weakness, because when the certainty breaks, it breaks worse for Cat than for anyone. A Komatsu owner who waits 2 weeks for a part is annoyed. A Cat owner who waits 2 weeks for a part feels betrayed, because he paid the premium specifically, so this would never happen. The strength, when it fails, is not neutral. It is an accusation. Every day that Dozer sits in the quarry, it is the brand calling itself a liar. That is what a finance team never models. They can model carrying cost down to the penny. They cannot model the look on a man's face when the thing he trusted for 30 years lets him down. They cannot put a number on the contractor who quietly tells his nephew, "Do not buy the Cat, buy the Volvo. The dealer actually has parts." That conversation is happening in pits and shops across the country right now, and it does not show up on any quarterly report until it is far too late to fix. And understand what the weight actually costs the man in the quarry, because it is never just the part. A dozer down 9 days is a crew standing around. It is a rental machine brought in at day rate to cover the hole. It is a job that slips past the deadline, a penalty clause that triggers a customer who starts shopping the next contractor. The part might be a $400 sensor. The weight can cost 10 times that before the machine turns a track again. The operator knows this in his gut, which is why the empty parts counter does not just frustrate him. It frightens him. Every hour that Dozer sits, his own money bleeds out, and the only thing standing between him and the dirt is a shelf in a warehouse that somebody in an office decided to keep thin, and the geography makes it worse. The Morton Parts facility is still near Peoria. The hands that pick and pack and load are still in the factory towns. But the strategy that decides how deep to stock those shelves, how much slack to carry, how fast you are allowed to be, that strategy is set in Irving, Texas, more than 900 miles away. The decider does not drive past the quarry. He does not know the operator's name. He sees the freight line, 4 to 6% of cost of goods, and he asks his team to shave it. Every basis point he shaves is one more morning a machine does not start. There is a cruel symmetry to it. Caterpillar spent 100 years convincing the world that the part would be there, and built the most expensive distribution network in the industry to keep that promise. Then a generation of finance-first managers looked at that network and saw, not a promise, but a cost. They moved the headquarters away from the iron twice. They thinned the shelves. They called it profitable growth. And the operator in the quarry, the one who believed the yellow paint meant something, pays for that growth 9 days at a time. So here is the question worth fighting about. The lean inventory crowd will tell you a full shelf is dead money, and the market proved customers will wait. The old hands will tell you the wait is exactly the thing Caterpillar sold itself never to do. So which is the real Caterpillar? The company that put the part on the shelf no matter the cost, or the company in the Texas Tower that decided the shelf was a number to shrink? Can a heavy iron brand even survive once the certainty is gone? Tell me in the comments. One more thing before you go. If you really want to be part of the inner circle on this channel, join the site foreman for $9.99 a month. You get a public shout-out in upcoming videos, your name, your operation, your story, validated in front of the entire QuiSoup audience, plus everything from the operator tier. To join, open your phone and search QuiSoup membership or go to the channel page and tap join. And remember, every operator who switched to Liebherr or Volvo a decade ago saw this coming long before the boardroom in Irving, Texas admitted it. See you in the next one.